We're live. Hi, everyone. My name is Joseph. I'm an immigration lawyer here in Southern California. Today's show, we're going to split into two sections. The beginning part, and the most important thing I want to announce to everyone, is regarding the immigration bond. Now, I know it probably doesn't affect most of you, but there's so many things that this sets the precedent for. And it is quite concerning. And is about what the United States does best: capitalism, money, and penalizing the poor. You think that is just happening in the United States? No, they're going to do it all around the world. But anyways, that's the new segment we're going to start with. I'm going to be answering questions. So if you have any questions about immigration situation, feel free to ask. I'll be answering them throughout this entire show. Then the second part is we're going to talk about a success story. It involved this family and this family not being able to get a green card. But another foreign national came in and saved the day and got this lady a green card. But the children still cannot get it. And it's complicated, but we'll ask you for advice. What do you think should have been done? But it was a very complicated case regarding a very complicated multi-ethnic family with stepchildren involved. So that's the two segments that we're doing, and we're answering questions at the beginning and also in the end. All right, so feel free to ask. But let's get started with the news, the main news for tonight, which is the immigration bonds when people are applying for a tourist visa. If you haven't heard, the consulate and embassies around the world are going to start implementing this. We're starting with two countries with the highest, arguably, fraud rates, meaning, most people who apply for the tourist visa from those countries, if there's such a high percentage of people who are just changing out of the status, who are overstaying their visa and staying in the United States illegally, not leaving or leaving not on time, then these two countries are going to start requiring people to apply for an immigration bond before coming to the United States. What does that mean? Well, just for starters, to apply for a visa, you already have to pay $182, sometimes more, just to apply. And then the rejection rate, if the whole country, if half the people are overstaying, you can bet the denial rates is extremely high. Like, for example, having just visited the consulate in Mexico, denial rate for B1, B2, extremely high. You have to wait for almost over a year before you even get your interview. So hundreds of thousands of visa applications around the world. A lot of these countries, they get denied. So you pay $182, the interview is about 10 minutes, and it gets denied. Now, if they want to approve you, but because of such a high rate of change of status, adjustment of status, overstay, now they're going to make you pay additional bond, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 you have to hold. And then if you overstay by over just 10 days, you forfeit that money. They're going to start with those two countries, Zimbabwe, what is it, the other one? Malawi. But they're going to expand it. They're going to expand it to other countries. If you just search the top countries with overstays, you'll be quite surprised what countries' names show up. Okay? I'm not going to name all of them. They're starting with two. They're going to expand it to more. And what's to say that even in other countries, for certain individuals, that they still might require this bond, right? So just because, these two countries now, they might say everybody from these countries who apply for tourist visa have to get these bonds first, doesn't mean in the later on, other countries, even partnering countries, say Canada, Mexico, other key G7 countries, they might still say, well, 10% of the people here, we still want these bonds as well. Immigration bond for tourists to come into the country is such a bad idea. I mean, I usually don't criticize the government program. Now, I'm criticizing it here because it's ultimately not effective. And you don't have to trust my words. The Department of Homeland Security said it themselves. This thing has been around for a long time. Ever since I started practicing immigration law 10 plus years ago, it's been available. People could buy immigration bonds. But in their own handbook, it says it is not effective at deterring overstays. So don't do it. And they advise people not to do it. Even though it's a possibility, they advise people in their home country that it is fraudulent. And that's the second part I want to talk about. The Department of Homeland Security understands that from the public's perspective, this looks so bad, it looks like a scam. So the old United States government's program looks like a scam is not a good look, and them admitting that, right? It's terrible. Now, what is it? Why does it look like a scam? Because even before you apply for the visa, you have to pay this bond, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, and your immigration visa, your tourist visa is still not guaranteed. What if you paid it to the wrong party? What if somebody told you to pay it and you pay it and it's not even to the US government and now you got scammed? And then what if the government gets it, you don't get it, but you paid for it beforehand? The government is saying no refunds. It is a terrible program. And here's why it is so ineffective. We know from all the government data who have tracked this, immigration bonds does not actually deter people overstaying their visa. Here's why. If you really want to break the immigration law and come into the United States and change status and adjust status because you have some humanitarian need, the $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 is just the ticket to get to the US. You just pay it because you're still going to do it. The people who are wealthy enough, they don't need to overstay because they just buy another plane ticket and fly back, right? They fly to the US a couple months, they fly back to Europe, they fly back to London, and then they fly back to the United States. They don't need to overstay. They're wealthy enough. So bonds are not going to affect rich people. Poor people who really need to come, they're still going to do it and they're still going to overstay. So who does it actually harm? It harms the poorer countries, the poorer people who cannot afford the bond and who really just want to come and visit Disneyland, right? It's deterring people who truly are the tourists. And this program is going to deter them. Is that a good look, America? You're charging people money for a bond, and you're basically telling the world this visa is like a nice hotel stay in the US, except the difference is ICE is the concierge, and then if you overstay, you forfeit everything. You know, even on the form that they require you to fill out for the bond, the beneficiary is the United States. You know, like, it's absolutely insane. Now, I don't want to just criticize the plan, right? I also want to offer solutions. What is a better solution? Well, maybe have sponsorship programs, right? If somebody's wanting to come to the United States, who can sponsor them so that they don't overstay? And if they overstay, then it's the sponsor's obligation to make that payment, right? So instead of the United States being this middleman and being this insurance and making people pay, it's so business and capitalistic, and it just disproportionately harms poorer nations and poor individuals. You know, and the thing about that is, you know, if you violate a law, right? Let's say speeding ticket, right? There are certain countries that if you get one speeding ticket, you can't get another same speeding ticket for the rest of the day. You know what that means for the rich people? The rich people means they just, in the morning, they get the speeding ticket and they can race as fast as they want throughout the entire day. Basically, you're just paying a small fee, and then now the law doesn't apply to you anymore, right? That sort of public policy and law just does not make sense and is not fair. You should not create rules that are like that if you really want to be a truly just and fair nation. And I understand a lot of people get visas, they come to the United States, and then they violate their status. They did not comply with the tourist visa. However, that's because our own internal system is sort of broken. Here's what I mean. It's legal to get a tourist visa, come to the United States, and change status to become a student visa. Perfectly legal. Congress created it. There's a filing fee. People do it all the time. But to the State Department, they don't like it. To CBP officers, they don't like it. And sometimes if people say that they're going to do that, their visas get terminated. Something that's perfectly legal, and you make a payment for it, but somehow the State Department doesn't like it and refuses to give people that opportunity. And now it's going to make people pay a bond for it. If you really want to stop people from overstaying, from change of status, the simple solution is to say, you no longer can do that. you can no longer fly to the US on one status and then change to a different status, or you cannot adjust status. Nope, just cancel that out. Everybody has to apply overseas. Voila. Problem solved. Nobody's going to do that anymore but then if they come here, they can't change status, then they have to be illegal. If they have to be illegal, they might be detained by ICE. People don't want to do that. They're not going to do that. Then there's no visa problems anymore. But the United States is not doing that. Why? Because when you change status, when you pay for adjustment of status, you all pay more money to USCIS. And now coming to the United States to do what's legal, you have to pay a bond. So the State Department makes money. So State Department makes money, USCIS makes money, everybody makes money. The rich people pay, the poor people who are desperate pay, the poor people who cannot afford it, cannot come, cannot pay. This entire scheme is totally a pay-to-play benefiting the wealthy. And it's not just me saying that. The Department of State, their own internal memos recognize this. Now, you might say that's good for the United States. The United States should get more money. They deserve it. I'm not here to criticize that. If the United States want to do it, just do it openly, right? Increase the visa fee. But don't hide behind this mask of saying, well, there's so many people who are abusing their visas when they might not even be overstaying. They're just changing status to student visas or other sorts of visas or claiming asylum. But because the State Department doesn't like it, or they internally get penalized, they aren't making people pay, right? And they're starting with these two countries, but from the trajectory, it's foreseeable that many other countries, even first world countries, even developed countries, even G7 countries, have to start paying it. The United States arguably has already the highest visa fees, the highest denials, and now a bond is just so unbelievable that I am shocked that this is being implemented. And clients who are calling around the world, who are applying for tourist visas, they're saying, is this real? It sounds fake. Is it AI? Am I being scammed? I'm like, no, it's true. It doesn't apply to you yet, but eventually it might roll out. Whatever you do, at least right now, you're not obligated to apply for the bond. And it's up to the consulate to make that determination if they will require you to apply for the bond. And hopefully, at the very least, the government can make the bond process easier, so easy to pay, easy to make a determination at the interview, and hopefully they approve the visa and then make you pay for the bond. Right now, it's flipped, and that is just crazy. I'll take some questions first.
Yeah, I have 17 years of project managing experience. Do you think EB2 NIW is suitable? Some say yes, some say no. It's for engineering.
EB2 NIW, the hardest part about it is not the EB2 part. It's not the advanced degree part. It's not the, extraordinary part. The hard part about EB2 NIW to be able to get a green card purely based on your resume and your mind and your insight is the NIW part, the national interest waiver part. And how do you overcome the national interest waiver? How do you prove to the government that the United States needs you, that it is better to let you cut in line, skip the entire perm process, grant you the national interest waiver, let you wait in line for the priority date, and then let you adjust status to get a green card? It depends on your project. What are you going to do in the United States? You have 17 years of work experience abroad or in the United States, doesn't matter. What insight do you have? What plan do you have that can make America great? That's what they're looking for. So in 2025, we're seeing a lot of NIW denials, a lot of NIW requests for evidence, mostly challenging the NIW portion. How is your project national in scope? How is your project benefiting the U.S. economically? How are you making the United States more prosperous, safer, and stronger? Think about that. If you don't have a good business plan, you don't have a good insight, you don't have a good plan, the NIW case is weak.
Have you had any CSPA successes recently?
Yes. We are constantly doing CSPA. We probably did over 250 CSPA cases in the past 2 years since the 2 new memos came out. I have to say it is still fair. It is still going according to exactly what the memo says. USCIS sometimes get the CSPA case wrong and we file a motion to reopen and it gets approved. So yes, we are still doing CSPA cases all the time and it's still getting approved. The administration has not scaled back the CSPA, has not changed it, has not revoked it. And why would they? It's not their target people that they want to kick out, right? These are kids who are in the US, who are capable, who are paying taxes. They qualify in every which way. So, yeah.
I'm waiting for a green card for over 1 year as an asylum. What can I do to get a decision or to speed that up?
We don't do asylum cases. And I don't know if there is a way to expedite asylum processing, right? There's no premium processing, Maybe you can try to make an appearance at the court and make an argument, but they are so backed up. So I don't really see that at least I haven't heard any other attorney and people who do these on a daily basis do any premium processing for asylum cases.
What are the common issues with the CSPA changes? Like common RFEs that come up or common challenges there?
The most common challenge we see from USCIS regarding CSPA is how is this calculated, right? We often see USCIS officers untrained with the two most recent memos. So they still calculate the CSPA based on the old memo, or worse yet, they don't even calculate. They just directly say the consulate denied you, so now we're going to deny you. But they don't understand that how to calculate CSPA in the United States is different than how you calculate CSPA abroad. So that's a common issue. We've even seen a ridiculous CSPA officer say, if you calculate it this way, you don't qualify. If you calculate it this way, you don't qualify. I don't understand how you calculate it this way. Please explain. It's just so clear that it's so confusing that they don't know how to calculate and they're doing their best. So my recommendation is anytime anybody's applying for CSPA, provide the memos, do a chart, clearly calculate it, do additions, subtractions, and equal signs. Highlight the key documents to clearly prove that you qualify. In almost all of our cases, when we do that, the cases get approved.
My case just got reopened and I'm under DACA. I got news of my court date yesterday. Should I be worried?
I need more context. Normally DACA is not in court. So if you're in DACA status, unless something terribly wrong happened, a criminal offense or something, now ICE has picked you up, now you're in immigration court, now you're in immigration deportation proceedings, your case is reopened, meaning it was probably closed or denied in the past, so need a lot more context. But in general, most DACA people are not in immigration proceedings, so should you be concerned? Yes, prepare well for the fight.
Can the founder of a small business, digital marketing agency, less than 5 employees, qualify for an EB1C?
Great question. We've definitely done EB1C applications less than 5 people. Here's the argument you need to make. The company is small, but I am still the executive. I need to be the executive even though I'm only managing these 5 people. Payroll and the number of employees is not the determining factor for an EB1C application. I am an executive. I manage 5 employees. They are highly trained, high professional, high salary. Our revenue is high. Our market share is big. Our patents are large. We're managing huge projects with huge consequences that impacts the United States, impacts the world. What we do is very, very important. They're not just rudimentary workers. I'm not a first line manager. I am an executive. Do your best to make that argument.
Do we have to pay the $29.40 filing immigration adjustment status fee?
I need more context to know if you need to file a fee or not.
I have a court date on 9/16. My I-130 for marriage has not been approved. Can I request to expedite?
It's free to go talk to Emma, call USCIS if it makes you feel better. I don't think they will do it. And I think even if they do it, which I don't think they will, I don't think it will necessarily help your court date. But, it's free to try. So you could do that and you can show ICE that you are trying.
Can an E2 investor visa be done for $50,000?
I think the craziest case we did was 30,000. It's completely proportionate to how much revenue your company will generate. So if your cash flow is strong, you're doing a service-based company, you start a company, next month you're immediately cash flow positive, you can pay your employees, you can pay rent, you can pay all expenses, then arguable, yeah, you don't need that much to start your company. But if your company is very heavy in debt, you cannot make any revenue, you have no customers, well then, not likely enough.
My wife has an I-130 pending for 2 years now. She has a B2 visa, B1, B2 this month. Any advice for her?
When she flies into the country, if the CBP officer sees that and challenges her, so you have immigrant intent, your response is, I am not going to overstay my trip this time. If I do immigrate, it's going to be after everything gets approved and I'm going to do it overseas. This time, my specific intent is I'm going to stay here, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to leave, have your return ticket, have everything ready, clearly proving that your intent, this entry is a tourist this time.
If you have a green card, a DUI before you got your green card through U visa, your green card is approved now. Are you safe to travel?
Most likely. I wouldn't worry too much about it if it's just one DUI, especially if it's over 5 years ago.
I lost my bond receipt and the case was granted 7 months before. I still haven't received a letter. How do I get my bond back?
Wow. Contact ICE, right? They should have everything. ICE or the court. And if you already got the bond, it's just paperwork for them.
I illegally crossed in 2013. I have a NTA. Can I get a 485 before the NTA?
I think the question is, I illegally crossed into the country and then you have a notice to appear before an immigration court. You want to get an adjustment of status receipt so you can use it as a defense in immigration court. Do you have enough time? Can you do it? And will they let you go? If you haven't applied yet, there's probably a reason you didn't, right? So, but obviously if you qualify to apply for a 45, right? You're married to a US citizen, you apply for I-130, you somehow got a DACA, you somehow been admitted, there was an advanced parole, so you can apply for a 45, they'll accept a 45. Yes, but chances are you don't meet those requirements, so there's no way you'll be able to get a 45 receipt.
Okay, we have a very serious question. What do you think about dinosaurs and Godzilla?
Like if they fought?
I guess.
I think the dinosaurs, it depends on how many, right? I think if we got all the dinosaurs in North America to fight Godzilla, I think the dinosaurs will win.
The dinosaurs in North America.
Right. Because there's only one Godzilla. And as strong as he is, if you just deplete his energy, and there's so many, right? So you could just pin him down.
If someone donated plasma while on their visa, is that bad? I went about 8 times a year. Each time got 60 USD.
I have no idea. And no one has ever asked me that before. Yeah. I don't know.
I filed my taxes separately, even though I'm married. Is that okay? It's now time to file the 751.
Yes. How you file your taxes is not the most important thing. Yeah, not even close.
Once the green card is approved through I-130, can I travel right away?
Yes. You can travel with your work permit. And your travel permit even before the green card was approved, right? So obviously after your green card is approved, you could totally travel. But just know that as a green card holder traveling, you still have to abide by the green card requirements. So if you commit a crime abroad, green card might be inadmissible, you might not be let in. If you stay outside for too long, they might not let you back in. So if you are traveling with a green card, don't stay too long. Don't commit any offense where you would show up on the CBP's data bank, FBI, Interpol.
Okay, another very serious question. Is a visa to Flop Tropica free? I want to move there with Queen Nikki.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she could get you a ticket.
Okay. Feel free to ask. We have a few more minutes before we will invite Gabby on. And
No, we'll bring her on.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So please excuse me while I fix the camera angle for two people, everyone.
So,
Okay, wait. One last question
Yeah.
before. My I-601A was approved last week.
oh, good.
What's the next step?
Get ready to go to the consulate and get your immigrant visa. But definitely double check and triple check and talk with your attorney and prepare. Make sure you had only a single entry. The nightmare situation, the worst case scenario is you leave the United States with the 601A approval, go to the consulate, and the consulate finds out there's multiple entries and then denies you, and now you have a permanent bar, you cannot come back. That has happened again and again. So just double and triple check that. So this is Gabby. She's been at the firm for 10 plus years. Today's success story is credited to her. I did the initial consultation once, maybe twice, but she walked the client through the rest of the entire journey. It's one of the craziest family-based immigration cases that we've done this year. And we do a lot of crazy cases, but this one definitely is noteworthy. And so instead of just me doing the success story, we're inviting her up to try to talk about it. And, you know, I hopefully when you guys hear these type of stories, you guys could realize that there's still hope in the world, that there's still good officers, that things still make sense even amidst the chaos. So that's Gabby.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
You're gonna let us know when everything is ready.
Okay, almost.
And people, right? You guys could still keep on asking questions as we do this live filming of the success story. At the end, we'll still save time to answer any other questions about this story, about the immigration bond, or about anything, right?
Okay, we'll take two more and then we'll jump in.
Okay.
Is there a dollar threshold to fraud for CIMT making you deportable?
Crime involving moral turpitude. Is there a dollar amount for that fraud?
You too.
I don't know the answer to that.
I think that's as close we can get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. Like $5, $15, $50. Crime involving moral turpitude is so discretionary, right? Because it is not purely based on your conviction, right? Let's say you committed something and you were not arrested, not convicted, and let's say it was just like $15, but you did it against a kindergartner and you took it from them and it ruined their life, and the officer just hates you for that. They might, and you do it again and again to like all the kindergartners. The officer might deem that crime of moral turpitude. No arrest, no conviction, right? So it's really hard to say. Now, obviously, if there is a conviction, then it depends. Okay, felony or misdemeanor. And if it's misdemeanor, what's the sentencing and how many years? But I don't really know if there is a specific dollar amount.
Okay, can you sum up your answer to DACA recipient case was reopened? They have a court date. Should they be worried?
Yes. Why was it reopened? What are you trying to prove? How are you trying to get the green card? Prepare well, right? This is your one chance, one opportunity. So let the worry empower you to build your best case so you can win your green card, right? Don't let it paralyze you.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to live film today's success story. Starting now. Hi, everyone. My name is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. This is Gabby.
Hi, my name is Gabby. I'm one of the senior account managers at Sang & Associates, and I'll be sharing with you this very, very interesting and heartfelt story.
It was really difficult. Let's just start from the beginning and walk everybody through exactly what happened and why it was so difficult.
So this client came to our office, and they had already been dealing with another attorney's office for about a year and 9 months. So the story starts back in September 2022. The wife arrives from Russia. She is on a tourist visa, and her husband is only a green card holder. So she came in hopes to get a green card for a better future for her and her young child. At the time, the child was about 5 years old. So she came just with a lot of hope and, excitement. She just hoped, that her life was going to change for the better. Little did she know it was just the beginning of a huge nightmare that she was going to have to face, under a lot of pressure and hardship, along with, like a young child. So September 2022, come to the U.S. and essentially just start filing the petition for a green card through her lawful permanent resident spouse. As we all know, and for those that don't know, there is a wait time when you are a permanent resident. So obviously, she had to wait to get a green card about 3-4 years. So in the midst of that, about 9 months into the petition, the husband breaks the news that he's going back to Russia. He's leaving her with their young child, and that she just has to stay here. She's pretty much stuck here, that she can't really do anything, but just wait around until she gets a green card.
Was she out of status at this time?
She was already out of the status. She had an I-130 pending petition, but she was out of the status. She had no work permit, no social security, so there was no source of income. So she was fully dependent on the ex-husband to support them and basically to provide everything for them, from shelter to food to like necessities. For those that are parents, we understand, there's a lot of demand for children. So
let me just paint the picture.
Was she working illegally without the green card?
She could not work, so she was not working. She was not working without the green card.
Green card holder Russian brings wife and children to the United States, sponsors them, petitions them, but didn't do it correctly. They're not in lawful status, right? The tourist visa didn't change to another non-immigrant status, which was what you should have done. Then she could stay legally, but she didn't do that. The husband leaves. Now they are stuck here, completely reliant on him. He has a green card, so he could fly in and out, but there's nothing that they can do. They cannot work. They're completely dependent on them. If they leave, they cannot come back to the U.S. They want to be in the U.S. They don't want to be in their home country. And that sounds like entrapment, endangerment. It sounds like kidnapping, but continue.
Yeah, so the husband was 30 years older than the wife, so he had a lot of experience. This was not his first marriage. It sounded like he had gotten a green card through marriage, so he fully understood the process. Excuse me. So he deceived her into coming to the U.S. just to keep her here. When he left, essentially he wanted to keep her here because he had an affair back in Russia.
No.
So he was going back to meet with the mistress, as they had planned to start a life together, but the wife was not, in understanding of that. So for her, it was, okay, he needs to go back to take care of business. He's, leaving us here because he wants to give us the opportunity to get a green card, to be able to travel back and forth, for the child to, get better education and whatnot. But the reality was he was just deceiving her. So she does not know this. So she's just thinking, I'm going to go about life the best as I can, try to, keep my child safe. He did provide at the beginning a place for them to stay. But later into the story, he breaks the news to her saying, you need to move out of the house. You need to find a place for you and the child to live. And this is his son. This is not her child. This is their child together.
Wow.
So he says, you guys need to find a place to go. Flying back with my girlfriend, and she's going to move into the house.
Jeez.
So you need to figure out what you're going to do.
Wow.
So she starts begging him, can you please just give us some time? We really have no one here. Mm-hmm. We have a few friends, but, not friends that could provide shelter for us. So we need to find out what we're going to do, and then what's going to happen. I don't have a work permit, so I can work. Mm-hmm. I can provide for the child, but what am I to do? What am I expected to do? So he basically just said, just try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Try to see what you can do. Talk to people. You probably, out of your friends, you can probably find someone that can rent a place for you. So this is how she meets the second husband who now petitioned her for the green card. So she went out with her friends, and she's just pouring her heart out to one of her friends, her girlfriends. And she's saying, I don't know what to do. I'm about to be homeless. He says he's flying back. He doesn't want to help. He says he's going to provide some type of support for our child, but he's not saying how much. I really don't know what to do. This was like a friend gathering for someone's birthday. So the current husband happened to attend the gathering, and he's a charming French national from Vietnamese descent. He knows a lot about life. So he just came, met her, they became friends. And a few months in, she shares with him, the need. She says, do you know anyone that could rent a place for me and my son? I don't have a lot of money, but I'm willing to even, clean the house and maintain the house for free if I need to. So it kind of broke his heart that, this young lady at that point, she was about 27 years old, with like a 6-year-old child. And so he says, I do have a place. It's far out from where you are, but, it probably can serve you at the moment because I'm not using that place right now. And it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but I think it'll serve well for your need right now. So he offers that to her for free. He just really wanted to help them out. He wasn't in love with her. He wasn't interested. They were not romantically involved.
Right.
It was just out of his kindness of his heart. So obviously she's desperate. She doesn't know what's going to happen to them. So she says, sure, I'll take that offer. And then I promise as soon as I get my work permit, I'll start working and I'll pay you back however I owe you for rent. So she moves into his place, and he now can closely see what she's going through, emotionally, mentally distressed. She has the young child who, at an age of 5, doesn't really know what's going on. He's just moving from place to place. He had a change of schools shortly after. So it was just a lot to endure. So she starts just sharing with, this new friend her life, and little by little they start getting closer to each other. So a relationship develops. Obviously, it's a genuine relationship out of something really bad that happened to her. And about a year in, she decides that she wants to file for divorce because she's no longer going to wait for the ex-husband to figure out the relationship with the new girlfriend. She doesn't know really what's going to happen. So she says, no, I think I'm ready to move on. I don't want to be, called a cheater. So I'm ready to move on with my life. She contacts the ex-husband and says, I'm ready to file for divorce. I'm not going to continue waiting. He threatens that he's not going to provide one more penny for the son if she does that. I'm not sure what type of situation, but shortly after he says, oh, actually, I forgot to share with you. I've already filed for divorce. We've been divorced for 6 months.
Wow.
So the way they explained it to me, obviously, I'm not familiar with the Russian laws or the Russian process, but they say a divorce when someone has assets, seems like this man is wealthy, it takes a long time because you have to figure it out. But in this case, he filed for divorce, and about a month later, the divorce was granted. So not sure how he made that happen, but when he breaks the news to her, he's like, oh, don't worry about it. You don't even have to pay for the divorce. We're already divorced. We've been divorced. I'm about to get remarried.
Wow.
So she's in distress thinking, okay, now my petition has been pending all this time. My case with USCIS, in their eyes, I'm still with my husband.
Right.
But the reality is he abandoned me. Now he's divorced me without telling me.
Right.
I was never served any paperwork. I didn't know what I had to do. So she's, again, under a lot of stress now to figure out life with the new fiance. So that's when they came to us. That's specifically when they came to us. They talked to you, explained the whole situation. So what we did is we told them, now she's officially divorced. There is no reason why you guys couldn't get married, especially if you guys are in a genuine relationship, right? So first things first, they go get married. But now how do we overcome the suspicion of fraud because there was a pending case, and now it could be considered conveniently you get married to this U.S. citizen because now you need a green card.
Right.
So, strategizing, and, with our experience, we've done so many of these cases that strategizing this type of situation is not something new for us. So essentially explaining to them what USCIS is going to be looking at when they do an interview, when they review the case. So just the expertise of our office being able to just pour onto the family and, just let them know that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be challenging. We understand that. We know that. But we have enough experience to guide them through the process. So teaching them how to prepare, evidence that the relationship was real, that there is a bona fide relationship, that there is a commingling of assets, that there is cohabitation, throughout the process is, I think, the key for this case. I clearly remembered meeting with them the first time. They are super nervous. We can't believe she's already divorced. She didn't know anything. She would have told USCIS at the beginning, right? Like from the beginning, because we don't want to commit any fraud. And, trying to kind of go back and forth with the ex-husband was a lot for her. So when she came, she was in tears. She says, I was very young. I was very dumb. I was just really desperate. I didn't really know how to cut him off. I really didn't know how to set my boundary to say, if you're already with another person and have a girlfriend, let's just break this up. She says, I couldn't go, just homeless with my son. That would have just, changed his life, changed my life forever. So as a mother and as a woman, I could totally relate to my client. So I'm trying, just to provide, guidance in that sense, saying, well, you didn't really do anything wrong. You're thinking about your child before you're thinking about yourself as a woman. And that's something we do, right? Like that's something that it's natural. So, but now how do we help you get from where you are to now get a green card? That was the main goal. So just letting her kind of like, go through that process emotionally. Okay, we have to just put that to the side. Now we got to think about the future and we got to think about what we're going to do.
So I remember we withdrew the case.
Yes.
Right? So we withdrew the first petition that the husband filed for her.
Yes.
The I-130. And then we filed the second I-130 45 adjustment of status application for the mother, but not for the son.
Right.
Because the son is still with the original father as petition, and they wanted it that way. So we just did it for the mother. And then after we filed it, when did we file and when did it go to the interview?
So it took about a year. We filed July 2024 and it got approved last month, July 2025.
Was there an interview?
There was an interview. The interview was actually scheduled for that week when the LA raids were happening. Oh, wow. So it was rescheduled. So we had prepared really, really carefully for the interview. We were ready for the interview. We think we're doing like the best we can. I'm kind of like coaching, preparing, emotionally being there for them. And then we get an email saying, sorry, your interview has been canceled. And then we're like, oh no, it's going to be rescheduled. So when that happened from June 22nd, when their interview was scheduled for, it was rescheduled for a month later. So, you can imagine a lot of things can happen, but you still have to be there for your client and you kind of like have to reassure them. And then, so we had done the big prep meeting before the interview, but then we had to do like a second follow-up meeting before the other one. So I think what really helped them was that they had a little bit of time to digest and to talk to us a little bit more about how they were presenting their case. Their nerves were kind of like really high when they were going for the first one, but for the second one, they kind of already knew they had some time to process. So we just did like a quick, 30-minute, and then
we'll have another interview.
So during the interview, surprisingly, the officer was very, very nice. So this is something I think is good to share with, the audience, that USCIS is really not out there to get anyone, really. They are just doing their job, right? But the take from the client was they were super nervous that they will be, questioned about when they moved in and how did their relationship start and how is it conveniently that she, decides to marry this man. But she said the officer was very nice and just asked the questions about when she came in, how she came in, who had filed for her previous petition, and then moved on to how they met and, what the relationship looked like. And you guys showed me evidence that you guys have cohabitated for the past 3 years. And they hardly really asked anything to the current husband. It was more so about the affidavit of support, the sponsorship, his assets and proof of like tax returns and stuff. And then the officer said, I have everything I need already. I don't really need to prolong your interview. I know you have been waiting for this. You've walked a hard journey. So we're just going to go ahead and approve your case. Congratulations. Wow. You're getting your conditional green card. So the interview, we usually over-prepare. And I like to do that because if they need it, they need it. But if they don't, they at least know. And I think that's the reassurance when you over-prepare and then your client ends up being asked 2-3 questions that are very simple.
Right.
And I think that's, that's something that we specialize on.
Yeah. Right. What a crazy case. It's almost like a Christmas story, right? A love story fell apart, but came back together, and now they're happily married, taking care. I mean, just sitting at the office, just playing with the games, but mother was just so stressed, but seeing this whole year finally comes to an end. And I'm just so proud of your team because I did the initial consultation, and then next thing I know is the case got approved. Normally I get called in when there's a really bad request for evidence or really bad interview, but you prepared everything well, and they were so stressed about the case right from the beginning. And I think it's really just the hardest part about this entire case is actually just right in the beginning for them to decide what to do. Should I withdraw the case? Should I not withdraw the case? They came to the office like 3-4 times to talk about it. Withdraw the case, not withdraw the case, how to prepare it well, And had they chosen for the son to be with the application, then there would be 2 green cards now, right? But the father insists, so family matters are complicated. We cannot change what other people think and decide. That's their discretion, that's their agency. But whatever their decision is, however they want to do it, our job is to try to make it as clean, as fast, as efficient as possible. And I think they would do that well, and very happy for you guys.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah. So not about this case, but other things. So E2 investment question. If my foreign entity abroad owns intellectual property, like digital tools, apps with a financial value, like a monetary value, can I give those to my U.S. company and that can be counted as part of the investment?
Yes. Again, the more important thing is how do you prove the company will survive, right? You can value your patent and your drawing to be $100 million. Can you prove that your patent or your drawings will generate revenue for the company? So if it can, right? If it's because of your patents and intellectual property that your company overseas was making all this money, and now you transfer it over to the U.S., and then, right, let's say you're Coca-Cola, right? The secret recipe you transfer over to a now U.S. company, and now all the licensing fee comes to the U.S., then it proves, okay, it's worth it. So how much you value your IP is not the most important factor. The most important factor is how will it help the U.S. company generate money?
And we've even used like the founder's connections as like quasi investment, right?
Yeah. On the forms, it asks specifically cash value of what you invested, and then what are the other asset values. And again, right, somebody might invest very little money, no IP, but have a stellar resume, great connection, and they have a proof of concept that they can immediately make money. That is the most important thing.
Is it guaranteed to travel and come back to America after you apply for I-130 on a C-1D visa overstay?
There's no guarantees.
My 2-year green card has been denied. I have a court appointment in December. Should I be worried?
Yes, because your green card has been denied. They're ready to deport. So you really want to motion to reopen it. You really want to prove that they denied it, in error. In doing these family-based cases, what would you say is the bottleneck, the most challenging part?
It depends, right? Every case is different, but I think something that's consistent is, usually previously filed cases that have been denied, previous applications that were erroneously filed or that had incomplete or incorrect information. So usually caught between correcting information from previous filing, whether that was a family petition that was filed 20 years ago, or it was, DS-260 or DS-160 along the way. So I come across a lot of cases that have been previously denied, and then they come to us to try to see if there is a way to get them denied. I love working on those cases because I love to investigate. So I like to get down to the bottom of things and figure out why this happened. Usually it's a small mistakes, but it makes a huge of a difference. If you don't have the right team, the right help, your case gets denied because you forgot to sign on a form or because you forgot to attach pictures to a petition. So usually correcting the information. And now if it involves, for example, like fraud, how do you even correct that?
Right.
How do you even explain? I remembered back in 2018, we had a very special case. That case was about a mother that had a 15-year-old daughter fill out her DS-160, and she had forgot to put the children's information that she had children in the U.S. So we had to deal with that situation. And those are the type of things where, okay, now how do we explain to the government? At the end, we were able to overcome that problem, and the client got a 10-year green card, but it was really hard because, it involves fraud. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, your department does more FOIA requests to pull documents from the government, do more Department of Justice and FBI reports than anybody else. You guys are filing that on like a weekly basis. And I do think that is very important and very special because it's so easy to say, oh, you married this person, you guys could petition each other. Great, sign this form, we file same day. With no investigation whatsoever, don't forget about whatever happened in the past. Just go ahead and do it and just file. But it comes back because later on, the government has all this history on them that you didn't know about, and then you just immediately did it, right? It's like as if you went to the doctor and said, oh, I don't feel good here. And then the doctor says, oh, great, just eat this medicine or just do this surgery without any investigation on your past, right? That's not smart. And, and so, yeah, the hardest part is really fixing other people's mistakes. It's kind of like a building half built, and then now you need to, continue the original design, but you don't know exactly what was there. Or if somebody was cooking and then they already messed up with the cooking, and then now you need to take over that meal, what do? Do you take apart all the tomatoes and everything? Somebody already over salted. It's so much easier if you just had a blank slate and you just start cooking from the beginning.
Okay, we'll take a few more questions. For E2,
Yeah.
does the founder's brand help, like media mentions about the founder and stuff like that?
Yes.
Is it a bad timing right now to apply for citizenship?
No.
Why not?
Because if you qualify, it's always a good time to apply. Because right now, this trend is getting more and more difficult to qualify for a visa, to qualify for a green card, to qualify for a citizenship. It's just like things are getting more and more expensive. So if a year from now, if 5 years from now, the same thing is going to be way more expensive, more difficult, is it a good time to buy? Probably. If you qualify for citizenship, it's probably the best time to apply now, generally speaking.
So can you ask for a returning resident visa, so SB1,
Yeah.
green card for 10 years, but you stayed out for 3 years?
It's I don't think we've seen a case that have left the U.S. for more than a year and a half and gotten the SB1. We have seen plenty of people who have stayed outside of the U.S. for less than 1 year and have their SB1 denied. In your case, 3 years, chances are slim.
Okay, we'll take a few more. So for the court case, green card was denied. They have an affidavit from their ex-wife that shows everything was okay. So should they have potentially more evidence?
Great.
So, what do you think?
File a motion to reopen and make your best argument. Right? Call her as a witness at the trial.
Okay, for the pending I-130 who's now coming on a tourist visa, aside from a letter from their wife's employer verifying her employment, leave granting requests, stuff like that, what other things should she prepare for a B1, B2 interview?
B1, B2 interview or flying back to because it's different if you're applying for a visa at the consulate to come as a B1 B2 visa holder, and versus you already have the B1 B2 visa in the past, and now it's not expired yet, and you're flying in and you have to see a CBP officer at airport, right? So in any case, if you're seeing the customs officer, which is most of the time these situations happen,
Yeah, for the interview.
with the airport officer.
I think consular.
Oh, the consulate. Okay. Well, if it's a consulate, then you have to explain a lot more because you don't have the airplane ticket yet, right? So you want to explain, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I only want a one-time B1, B2 entry, right? I will immigrate maybe a couple of years later, but at least right now, I just want a single entry. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. This is who I'm going with. This is, so basically really prove your whole itinerary.
Does a pending T visa provide protection while you're waiting?
Yeah, T visas, U visas. If it's pending, you have the receipt. Typically, ICE recognizes that and does not put you in detention. But just one disclaimer, we don't do T visas and we don't do U visas.
So yeah, the B1, they have the plane tickets already, just don't have the visa yet.
Right. So you want to very clearly explain maybe just a one-time visa, and we're going to come back, and we don't plan on immigrating at this time. We can't even immigrate at this time.
Should I be worried with withholding of removal?
Like you have a case and you are trying to get a withholding or removal. Yeah. These are really hard fights to battle out in immigration court. But if you can win it, like, you get the world in a way, right? If you lose it, then you get deported. So transition your worry into energy so you can prepare your case really well and make the argument that you're good for America.
Can I continue with my asylum application claim, even if I already have my green card through marriage?
No. Most of the time, when you're trying to apply for a green card through marriage, you need to cancel your asylum application, at least in all the cases that we've seen. Now, with that being said, once you get a green card, or you're on your way to get a green card through marriage, can you also have multiple other business immigration type green card applications? Yes, you can have as many as you want, but asylum is special because it's court, and typically there's only one person to adjudicating it.
Okay, last question we'll take. This is for the SB1 thing. Can I come back to the U.S. without an SB1?
Yes. So if you go on our YouTube channel, there's a playlist, a CBP playlist. And again, just go on our YouTube channel. It's on Associates. We've made over probably 60 videos that's talking about this and shared so many success stories with people on how they came back without an SB1 visa, how they came back left the U.S. for 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. Our craziest stories left the U.S. for 13 years. We've had cases where they have 3 SB1 denials and then they got the green card and still came back, right? So take a look at that playlist. I think it's like dealing with CBP, and hopefully that helps you. If you have any other questions, always feel free to schedule a consultation.
Okay, thank you all.
We'll see you next Thursday. Take care.
Bye everyone.
Bye.